Coming up this week on the Gruppetto, everything you need to know from Madrid, the Spanish capital, where I'm stood right now in its famous Puerta del Sol. We'll talk to an up-and-coming journalist to review these stories of what's been an incredible race. First of all, let's find out how the final week went and keep you up to date on everything else that's happened this week in the world of racing. The final week of the Vuelta began with Australian Ben O'Connor still in the lead and looking to secure Decathlon AG2R's first ever Grand Tour victory. His lead, however, was just over a minute, and with three-time winner Primož Roglic breathing down his neck and a cast of other characters also ready to attack, the task was going to be an uphill one. Mountainous, in fact. And that's where the bunch began, with stage 16 taking on one of the classic ascents in Spanish three-week racing, Lagos de Covadonga. Now, typical rainy, misty Asturian weather made things even more difficult, with Wout van Aert then crashing out of the race. Further up the road, Max Soler rode away to the stage win, and O'Connor, he was in trouble. Another valiant fight meant that he'd just about hold on to the red jersey. His lead, though, down to just 5 seconds. A day to take stock of the new standings saw Caden Groves secure a third win of the race, and with it the green jersey among the green hills of Cantabria. A visit to the Basque Country was next up, but it was a disaster for the home hero Mikel Landa. As a 40-man break was up the road contesting the stage, he was losing teammates and eventually time. A painful day for followers of Landismo, but they still cheered him on, the movement in its purest form. With Landa's drop from 5th to 10th, the only important GC change, O'Connor kept the lead, and the stage was won by the noisy neighbours from nearby Navarra. Yes, Kern Pharma won for a third time, this time a first career win for Urco de Rade. 3 days to decide the race began with a simple-looking stage, a run into a nasty climb that had been used once before on the roads of the Vuelta. That was the Alto de Moncalvillo. After a lead-out style start to the ascent on the roads of the Rioja region, it was, of course, what else? A vintage Roglification. The Red Bull Bora Hans Groheman's new lead in the GC stood at over just 2 minutes. Rog with the Reconquista of the red jersey. O'Connor was second. Mas occupied the final spot on the podium, but 2 days still remained. Stage 20 gave the watching world drama and worry in equal measure off the bike. Roglic was now back in red on it, but neither he or any of his team spoke to the waiting press before the stage. An unfortunate, not entirely unusual development, however, when Gamper, Dens, Vlasov and Martinez began to struggle very early on the mountain stage, with the biggest amount of climbing in the whole Vuelta, it was clear that something was up. Spanish television began to report cases of food poisoning, that among staff members as well as riders, and there was a worry that the leader himself could be affected or left isolated. However, one final general classification shake-up failed really to materialise, and it was a case of roughly as we were, with a few seconds here or there. Things certainly won't be going back to how they were as far as Eddie Dunbar is concerned. The Irishman was first to the stunning setting at the top of Picon Blanco near Burgos. His second win of the Vuelta, perhaps opening the door to more stage hunting success in the future. Mas on the day was second, Roglic third, and the GC changes were minimal. The final stage began after a long transfer down to Madrid. A 24-kilometre time trial with a spectacular finish location on the Gran Via in the sunshine. The race itself saw tired legs battle for a win, which eventually went to Stefan Küng. After all of the years of trying, the near misses, the heartbreak, the Swiss finally got his win at his 12th three-week race. And as King Küng finally arrived to sit on his Grand Tour throne, Primož Roglic battled the field and illness to finish second on the day and secure his overall victory without any drama. Another record for Rog, equaling the mark with the most wins in the history of the race. Roberto Heras, the only other man with 4 overall victories. A first ever Grand Tour podium for Ben O'Connor, who finished at 2 minutes 36 behind. He had a wonderful 3 weeks, and as did Enric Mas. There again showing consistency in the Vuelta A Espana, finishing third at 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Caden Groves took the green jersey. Matthias Skjelmose made it into the top 5 on the final day and won the white jersey. Jay Vine was the king of the mountains, and UAE Emirates were the top team, attacking start to finish and winning plenty of stages along the way. And so finished the Grand Tour season. Slovenia, the 4th country winning all 3 Grand Tours in a single season. After France in 1964 with Anquetil and Pulidor, Spain in 2008 through Contador and Sastre, and Great Britain in 2018, Froome, Thomas and Simon Yates. It's been quite the Grand Tour season, and it ends with Roglic doing what Roglic does, winning the Vuelta A Espana. Away from the final Grand Tour of the season, there was stage racing at World Tour level in French-speaking Switzerland. The 3-day Tour de Romandie Féminin, the 3rd edition. The opening stage took the riders to Lausanne, and it was hard fought before Elisa Balsamo claimed victory, narrowly beating world champion Lotte Kopecky. A summit finish was next on the menu. We were in Switzerland after all, and Demi Follering took the win ahead of teammate Kopecky. The Este Works Pro Time duo dominated the climb, securing the 2 top spots on the day. The final stage saw Rhiannon Marcus win in Morges, but Kopecky managed to secure the overall victory, making sure she was the fastest behind. The Belgian has now been on the podium of every single stage race she's ridden this season. And finally, one of the big one-day races of the season took place in Hamburg, Germany. And it was Olav Koy who put a stop to Jonathan Milan's recent winning run, the Dutchman's 8th win of this 2024 season. Now, as all the action was hotting up at the time trial yesterday, I took 10 minutes out to chat with a young journalist named Daniel Arribas about everything that happened in and around the race. Here we are, it's the final stage of the Vuelta A Espana. We're outside the press room, and take a look at this. This is one of the poshest press rooms in world cycling. We've got one of the most famous art galleries in the world there behind us. The Ritz, yes, the Ritz is where we've got the press room. Riders coming past us on the final time trial. And well, I thought it'd be a good time to check out some of the stories of the Vuelta that we've not seen on the telly. And for that reason, I've managed to get him. One of the hottest journalistic talents in the whole of Spain. He's laughing, but it's true. This is a young man named Daniel Arribas. How are you, mate?
Everything good. How is everything going?
Very well. So the helicopter's above, just in time. Brilliant. We only do it like this on the Gruppetto. 3 weeks away from the family, back home in Madrid. What does a day at the Vuelta look like for you? Because it must be nice to be home, but I bet you've enjoyed it as well.
It's pretty different. The last day is like I always say it's like a last day of school, because it's like a little bit party, but it's a little bit school. You have to go still. So yes, we have to come here. Yes, we have to just work still and see what happens with the podium. Maybe not with the victory, with the overall victory, but yes, with the podium. So yes, kind of mix of feelings.
Each day then, you wake up in a hotel in a different place, you drive to, I guess, the press room where you spend most of the time, but you're meeting riders at hotels. What is your day-to-day on the Vuelta as a written journalist?
I would say it starts soon, maybe not as soon as it starts normally in the daily basis, but around, 9, something like that. We used to just have breakfast and go to the start line where all the buses of the team are based. And over there we try to speak with everybody, almost everybody, or at least the main favorites of the race, or maybe the riders we are just picking as our own stories for Relevo in my case. So yes, it goes on. We move from the start to the finish line, avoiding the race to not being so late. And at the finish, pretty much the same. We try to talk with them.
What about this year's race? Because we started in Portugal, you've been to Andalusia, you have about a 10-hour drive to northwest Spain, Galicia, then Asturias, Euskadi, Basque Country. We've been in Burgos the last couple of days around there, now in the capital. A lot of transfers now, a lot of time in the car.
Yes, pretty much a lot, but I have to say I was a bit lucky because I avoided the main one. I started on the second week because I made the Olympics before, so just have a little vacation on the first week, so I avoid the main travels. So yeah, but it was pretty hard for our partners, for all the press that are here in La Vuelta. But yeah, it's, I think, pretty much the work we have to do.
That work you did then, what's the most interesting story that you found at this Vuelta A Espana?
Look, one of the, I don't know if one of the best, but one of the one that shocked me the most was Enzo Langse, the rider of DSM. Is actually the only rider on the Vuelta peloton who was born under the sea level. Mm-hmm. It's something that I read of Daniel Arribas, in fact. So yeah, it was a very funny story. It's like something different. Maybe the people is not just used to these kind of things, more used to the Roglic, Enric Mas, and all the stuff. So yeah, I think it's our job to just find these funny stories and tell to the people.
Who's the most interesting rider to speak to in the mixed zone?
That's a good question. I'm a fan of Oyer Lazcano. He's not always in the best mood, and he knows it, but he's a very smart person, very, very smart and very funny, and he's a person that talks always what he thinks, so he's actually good.
Okay then, a couple of other Spanish riders I'd like to ask you about, because there's a gentleman named Pablo Castrillo who has done a rather good job at this Vuelta. His brother was a pro before, Jaime Castrillo. We saw him at Movistar back in the day. He's actually coming back next year. But where is Pablo Castrillo going next year?
Oh, I wish I know. As far as I know, maybe we're all thinking in Ineos. But I think Movistar is pushing these last couple of weeks. I know if he's going to be enough, but it is not enough. If he's not enough, I think he's going to Ineos.
Let's talk more about Kern Pharma, because it's been a tremendous Vuelta for them in terms of results. 3 stage wins that they couldn't have even dreamt of. But they lost the whole world of cycling in Spain, lost an important gentleman by the name of Manolo Ascona. He very sadly died during this Vuelta, on the day they won their first ever Vuelta stage. I guess it's been a life-changing, in so many different ways, Vuelta for that team.
It is. It was, in fact, a very, very emotional Vuelta for them, especially that day on Cabeza de Manzaneda, because I think they wouldn't just bet on themselves to win an only stage, but they won 3, so it's just crazy. Even before the first win in Cabeza de Manzaneda of Pablo Castrillo, we were all just talking about the stunning Vuelta they were doing, but especially now with the victories with Pablo Castrillo, with Urco Berrade, with Pau Miquel also with a very much top 10s in different stages. It's been just incredible Vuelta for them.
I think Pau Miquel actually had 4 or 5 top 5s in the Vuelta A Espana. He was one of the big revelations of the race. Anybody else caught your eye?
I liked very much what Marc Soler did, what Mauro Schmid did, Marco Frigo. I don't know, these like underrated riders, but super good riders, and they all did for me a great Vuelta.
Final thing then, Vuelta's finishing. That's it. We're done. We talked about all the performances. What is your biggest memory to take away from this particular race?
That's a good one. I would say just going uphill to Lagos de Covadonga is pretty special for me. I'm half from Asturias, and it's probably the most iconic just climbing on La Vuelta, so it was pretty special for me. Not because of the fog, because we couldn't see pretty much nothing over there, but it was very special, and I surely don't forget it.
Actually, I did lie there. It's not the last question, because there's a young man named Pablo Torres who's been doing a very, very good job in the Tour de l'Avenir. He nearly won the thing. It was almost a Chris Froome-like comeback, wasn't it, on the same climb they did it in the Giro D'Italia back then. Where's he going next year? Because there's a bit of chat, and you've been one of the instigators on social media of this chat. What can you tell us? What news do you have on the young Spaniard who I think is expected to turn pro, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He is expected to turn pro. He was expected to turn pro in the upcoming years, but now after what happened in Colle de la Finestre in Tour de l'Avenir, probably is going to be next year. And in fact, Machin, the sports manager of Team UAE, told us in Relevo that they were going to talk about this issue with him, because probably the jump is going to be sooner than they thought at the beginning. Yes, what we know is that Ineos had an offer for Pablo Torres. They've been pushing for him, but also we know that he wants to stay at UAE and make that jump from the Gen Z team to the senior team at UAE. So I think he's gonna stay. That's not the complete information we have, but I think he wants to stay. He wants to stay. The environment wants him to stay. So I think he's gonna be professional in the UAE.
Well, another top talent then for UAE Team Emirates. We'll leave this top talent to do his work. See you next time. One of the many success stories at this Vuelta A Espana has been that of UCI Pro Team, Equipo Kern Pharma.
Metre by metre, Paulo Costello, 23 years of age. It looks like this is going to be the biggest win of his career, and indeed one of the most notable for Equipo Kern Pharma. This day has found out so many, and we found out that Pablo Costello is indeed a superstar.
You realize that you become a big name in cycling after this victory?
Yes, after the first victory is unbelievable, but the second one is something to dream.
Sí, era una fuga muy numerosa, íbamos medio pelotón y iba pensando todo el rato a ver cómo íbamos a hacer, pero ya en la Herrera se ha seleccionado mucho, íbamos Pablo y yo, y venía Pau cerca, entonces hemos intentado poner un punto de pausa para que entrase. Al ser él más rápido, pues era igual la baza, y luego ya el último repecho se iba a endurecer todo y lo he probado ahí desde atrás con velocidad y he podido sorprender. Y ya de ahí he dicho hasta meta, una contrarreloj, en ningún momento pensaba que iba a llegar, pero ya cuando he visto lo que quedaba y lo que les llevaba, ya he dicho, va, por fin, hoy sí.
Alberto Barade chose his moment absolutely to perfection. He can now see the finish line. Oh, thank you very much, Barade.
Has podido sorprender y te has sorprendido tú también.
Sí, a ver, me he encontrado muy bien esta vuelta. Los días que he estado en la fuga he estado peleando y hoy también, pero el final era más abierto y no iba a ser tanto el más fuerte, sino el que sorprendiese, y obviamente tienes que tener patas, pero bueno, me sorprendió a mí y a ellos.
Nos contaban desde el equipo que precisamente Pablo, Pau y tú, este juego táctico, digamos que lo lleváis poniendo en práctica desde hace mucho tiempo también en Lizarte, ¿no? O sea, habéis hecho escuela y por fin hoy, en una etapa de la Vuelta a España, lo ponéis en práctica y lleváis victoria.
Sí, la etapa de hoy me ha recordado mucho a cómo era todo ese calendario, Lehendakari, Euskaldun, Copa España. En el Lizarte pues siempre intentábamos ser superiores y aprovechar esa superioridad numérica, y de ahí a jugar la carrera que siempre fuese de cara y pues que no nos sorprendiesen sino ser nosotros, y así ha sido.
Con ganas, una etapa en la Vuelta, primera victoria y además en casa, o sea, ¿se puede soñar algo mejor?
No, yo no, la verdad que es que estoy que no me lo creo y bueno, tendré que ir digiriéndolo y se lo dedico a ellos.
Well, that's it for another Grand Tour season that ends right here in the Spanish capital, Madrid. But never fear, loads more racing still to come, isn't there? Giro di Lombardia, World Championships, but first the European Championships that you can see live and on demand this week across all of our platforms, Eurosport and Discovery Plus. As well, we'll be here with recaps, reviews, and the Gruppetto this time next week on our Eurosport Cycling YouTube channel. For now though, from Spain, from Madrid, nos vemos la semana que viene. See you next week. Bye-bye.
I was hoping for something good today, but this is really hard to believe.
It's been a hard year for myself, not having a win yet, and yeah, I come here super motivated.
It's been quite a while since I could raise my hands.
2 years ago was the last time you had the red jersey. Did you miss it?
To get the win at my first Vuelta, I still don't believe it.
I kind of just went for it. I felt like I could win this stage from the start.
It's Wout van Aert who gets there, and Wout van Aert who stays there.
Opportunity was there, yeah, and I went for it. No?
I never suffered like this before. I'm just so happy I can finally win another Grand Tour stage.
Wout van Aert, a work of art on days like this. Dunbar it is, steady Eddie, he's going to bring this one home. this is going to be the biggest win of his career, and indeed one of the most notable for Kern Pharma. Here is Ben O'Connor, and he's going to stay in red. Wow, sometimes fortune favours the brave. This day has found out so many, and we found out that Pablo Castrillo is indeed a superstar.
Oh, crash there. Engel.
Oh, no. Marc Soler on his day is absolutely magnificent.
I didn't win a lot with this team, and after 2 years, win again here in La Vuelta is very special.
This is Ben O'Connor fighting, struggling to hold on to that red jersey.
There's no easy days in La Vuelta A Espana this year. I'm still in the lead.
And Ilka Barade chose his moment absolutely to perfection. He can now see the finish line. Oh, it had to be Groves. Are we watching the coronation of King Roglic the Fourth? Great ride by the Irishman. Oh my goodness. Eddie bar none is your man.
We just have to finish it off. I mean, it's simple.
He is so far in the green, he could be on a jungle walk. Kung is going to take the time trial, but Primož Roglic is going to take the title.